Philadelphia Phillies have a golden opportunity coming up starting tonight out in Los Angeles. Not only is the NL East race almost over and could be over tonight, but another race could start to dwindle down that frankly is more important at this point than just the magic number for the NL East. I'm going to get into all of that today on the newest episode of Phillies Digest here. My name is Luke Arcaini once again, but the Phillies have a massive series starting tonight. They head out after an unfortunate loss on Sunday to the Royals where they could have clinched the NL East, but that magic number still remains really low. We're going to get into what that is in a little bit. It's really, really close. The Phillies are almost there. But they're heading out to Los Angeles for a ginormous series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. No, if they lose 2 or 3, the sky isn't falling and the season isn't done. But the Phillies really do have a true big opportunity to put away the race that I think should mean the most to everybody right now. And that is the race for the number 2 seed. The top 2 seeds, right? 6 teams in the NL, 6 teams in the AL get a playoff spot. Top 2 teams in the NL and top 2 teams in the AL get the first round bye, meaning they don't have to play in the wild card round. They get to set up their rotation for the NL and ALDS just how they want it. And the Phillies are in the hunt for that right now, and they are one of the current favorites to land one of the byes. But once again, they kick off the series tonight against the Dodgers, and Ranger Suarez on the mound tonight versus Emmett Sheehan, a rookie for the Dodgers who the Phillies have never seen. Tuesday will be Christopher Sanchez versus Shohei Ohtani, and Wednesday at 10:10. I know all of these games at 10:10 this week Eastern time. Jesus Luzardo versus longtime pitcher lefty Blake Snell. But once again, the biggest race that the Phillies are currently in, and I think they could really dwindle this thing down, is the race for the 2 seed. This is from good buddy Buzz Dan Wilson at 94.1 WIP. He tweeted today just to sort of help everybody out. Big shout out to Buzz because these magic numbers get a little confusing sometimes, just how to explain, what situations need to happen. So he said today the Phillies begin a 3-game set tonight at Dodger Stadium. The magic number currently over the Dodgers to clinch a bye is 9. Here are the scenarios. If the Phillies were to sweep the Dodgers in a 3-game series, the magic number for a bye would go down to 2. If the Phillies were to take 2 of 3 from the magic number, from the Dodgers, if the Phillies were to take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, the magic number for a first-round bye would go down from 9 down to 4. If the Phillies were only to win 1 game of 3 against the Dodgers, the magic number would go from 9 to 7. And obviously, if the Phillies were to get swept by the Dodgers, that magic number for a first-round bye would stay at 9. And he did say at the end, biggest series of the season. And I think there is, partially a way that you can look at it like that. It's a big one. The Phillies have a chance to, really start to get some guys some rest. Say the Phillies go out and win a magic number or win 2 of 3 against the Dodgers this week with their 3 horses on the mound. Magic number goes down to 4. There's 9 games left. There would need to be 2 Phillies wins and 2 Dodgers losses over the last 9 games of the MLB season for the Phillies to clinch a first-round bye. Granted, if they sweep, it goes down. They could start to maybe catch the Brewers here and maybe go up for that 1 seed. That means they would play the lowest remaining seed in the NLDS, but nonetheless, like Buzz said at the end, a massive series that kicks off tonight. The Phillies have been pretty good against the Dodgers recently. They're 9-3 in their last 12 games against the Dodgers, and they tend to, I feel like the tendency with the Phillies this year and over the years is, it's funny because I see a lot of people try and spit the narrative out that the Phillies can't beat good teams. And it feels like every time the Phillies play good teams, at least to me, it feels like they tend to play better. I feel like the Phillies play better baseball the better team they play. I feel like in years past, they used to, kind of find games that weren't against good teams and were against bad teams that had no playoff implications or anything, and they kind of play down to their level a little bit. But, if the Phillies get a Dodgers series or a Brewers series or a Padres series or a Yankees series in New York or something like that, the Phillies have always tended to play up to their opponent. And, that's exactly what they have to do over the next 3 games. They need to play Phillies baseball, how they've been playing, for the last 2 to 3 weeks, or at least since the trade deadline, because it's been really, really good. You go ahead and you look at some of these numbers here from the offensive side of the ball. Harrison Bader, as we all know, ripping the cover off of the baseball. Bryson Stott has had an awesome September. Harrison Bader, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, Max Kepler, and Otto Kemp, and Nick Castellanos are all above a 1,000 OPS in the month of September. Harper's starting to turn it on a little bit with a few homers the last few days. JT Realmuto's having still a fine month of September. Everyone's basically hitting the baseball. And I would say maybe the only guy that isn't, his level of hot that he usually is Kyle Schwarber. And the fact that the Phillies have the best record in baseball since the trade deadline, even through this bit of a Schwarber stretch. After that big 4 home run game, he goes 10 days home runless, finally gets to 50. Now he's at 52. 6 back from tying Ryan Howard for the all-time Phillies record, 7 to beat it in 12 more games. He needs 7 homers in 12 games to beat Ryan Howard's record. But I think it speaks volumes that Schwarber isn't necessarily playing fantastic Schwarber baseball, and the Phillies are still winning a ton of ball games. Once again, pitching matchups for this upcoming series. Get them up here. There we go. Pitching matchups: Ranger Suarez versus Emmett Sheehan tonight, Monday night, 10:10. Christopher Sanchez versus Shohei Ohtani on Tuesday on the mound, 10:10 again. And Wednesday, there's no getaway day because they stay out west. Another 10:10 Eastern time start. Jesus Luzardo versus Blake Snell. Really quick, I did just want to remind you guys, don't look at this base bar down here, right down there. The numbers haven't updated for me yet today. That is a me problem. So just don't look at those for now because they're not right now. But once again, just a huge series. Phillies are catching a Dodgers team that has won some games recently, but they haven't been the Dodgers. I would say over the last few months, they have I believe a bottom 6 record in baseball since July 4th. It just hasn't been a good few months for the Dodgers. Mookie Betts has really struggled this year. While he has had a good September, it's been very much an overall down year for him. And this team is still the Dodgers. I mean, they're still a threat, obviously. Mookie Betts does have an OPS over 1,000 in September, along with Shohei. But other than that, it hasn't been a great offensive month so far. Freddie Freeman under an 800 OPS. Andy Pages under 600. Miguel Rojas under, none of these guys are doing anything crazy special right now. I mean, other than the obvious Shohei Ohtani. Will Smith did head to the IL, I believe, on Saturday. So we will not see Will Smith behind the plate at all for the Dodgers. This is, once again, the chance for the Phillies to really end this race against the Dodgers for a bye. And the fact that the Phillies can get the bye and probably send the Dodgers to a wild card round is pretty crazy to think about. Before the year, I think a lot of people were predicting the Dodgers to have one of the best records in the history of baseball. And that's just kind of what happens during a 162-game season. You go through ebbs and flows, you go through injuries, you go through random hot streaks, and you go through elite players going through cold streaks. Everything happens in baseball. Once again, a sweep puts the magic number at 2 for a first-round bye. A Phillies 2 of 3 win puts the magic number at 4 for the bye. A 1 win for the Phillies puts the magic number at 7. And obviously, if they do not win a game against the Dodgers, it stays at 9. But I think, one of the bigger numbers, I think, right now is the NL East. And the NL East is down to 1. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, the Phillies couldn't get it done on Sunday, and the Mets, a walk-off homer from Pete Alonso. But magic number of 1 with 12 games left. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that the Phillies will win the NL East for the second straight year. This has been the newest episode of Phillies Digest. Big series coming up for the Phillies against the Dodgers. Kicking off tonight once again at 10:10. Make sure you stay with us here on Phillies Digest for all things Phillies updates, as we are just 2 weeks away from Red October and playoff baseball as the Phillies clinched their 4th straight postseason berth on Sunday. My name is Luke Arcaini, and I will see you guys next time.